Right, good morning everyone and welcome to this webinar on version 5.2 of Virtual Cabinet. Everyone's logged on, which is great, and we're just going to get started. I want to introduce myself first. So I'm Ken Byrne. I'm one of the account managers here in Virtual Cabinet, and I've also joined today by Sam.
Yeah, thanks. My name's Sam Wills. I'm the product owner for Virtual Cabinet. What this means is I'm responsible for the development of Virtual Cabinet and its future direction, making sure that what you guys need from the product gets in there.
That's great. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Generally, people understand this, but everyone is on mute. So if you have any questions, you stick them in the question box or stick any comments in the chat box. I'll keep an eye on them as we go through. And also the recording, the webinar is recorded, which means we'll send it out afterwards. So if you think any of your colleagues want to see it, we will send that out as well and send you a link to it. Before we start, I really want to talk a little bit about Virtual Cabinet and where we are. So Virtual Cabinet is a server on-premise based product with an SQL database at its back end. Over the last few years, we've seen a lot of people migrate from an on-premise server to a cloud server, so Azure or Amazon Web Services or something like that. We also have our own hosted solution that we can provide to you as well. So if you are looking to get rid of your hardware, or if you are looking for the future to move your stuff into the cloud, please come and talk to us because we do have solutions for that. As time has gone on, Virtual Cabinet introduced Portal within Virtual Cabinet, and of course that is a cloud SaaS solution, so it is a hybrid solution that we offer already. And obviously we built an app as well, and actually I should say Sam and his team built an app to allow you easy access to Virtual Cabinet when you're out on the road. So we do have as a hybrid solution out there for you at the moment. One of the other things, unique selling points or unique things that Virtual Cabinet have done is that we can integrate with practice management systems out there. So I had a look and we have financial services clients on here, we've got insolvency clients here, we've got accountancy clients on here. So I'm not going to start mentioning practice management systems, but we integrate with lots and lots of different ones. And they can be on-premise SQL server-based products, but they also can be cloud solutions as well. And as time has gone on, Virtual Cabinet has also integrated with CRM solutions, so things like Salesforce and HubSpot as well, and they can both be server-based products or cloud-based products as well. So no matter what is out there in the marketplace, we have the solution for you. And talking about the future, we're also working on our own software as a service, pure SaaS solution for document management as well. We're calling it VC Cloud at the moment, but we're working on that now. We actually started with a secure portal. So we've got a secure portal with wet signatures, task management, and actually sharing information directly with your client on things like a mobile phone as well. And this year, we're going to broaden that out and really strengthen the document management side of things. So I just want to give you a tiny bit of background on where we are in Virtual Cabinet and where our future direction is. There is going to be a separate webinar completely on this because I know it's a subject that a lot of people are looking at and want to know where our future direction is, and that's where we're going. But enough on Virtual Cabinet and where we are now, and we want to talk really about version 5.2 of Virtual Cabinet, and here are the things we're going to talk about. And actually, we're not going to spend too much time on this screen. We're actually going to jump into the product and go itself. The last bit we're going to do, though, is talk about a Postworks integration. So any of the clients out there that still physically send paper out as well, we've got a really cool integration with Postworks, but we'll talk about that when we come to it. So let's jump into Virtual Cabinet itself.
Great, thank you very much. So this is our home screen in Virtual Cabinet. This is what opens up when you first open up Virtual Cabinet. And as you'll see from this, in 5.2, we've completely overhauled this. This is now a very useful place where you can begin working in the day, and it gives you better visibility over your Virtual Cabinet system, what you've got going on. So starting from the top, we've got your overview. So these are the three key metrics for determining what work you've got going on in the system. You've got your in-tray documents. So at the moment, I've got 36 documents in my in-tray that I need to file or process in some way. You've got 13 documents that I'm currently in the process of editing. So I have checked these documents out, I'm working on them, and I need to save them back in order for people to see the changes that I've made. And I've currently got 8 tasks outstanding assigned to me.
So yeah, just to cover this, so tasks are completely agnostic in terms of what practice management system you use. And I know lots of practice management systems and other CRMs have their own task solution. In Virtual Cabinet, you've got the added benefit that you can link them obviously to a client file, you can link them to a client process, but basically you can build your own processes from something simple as a document approval to something more complicated where you're building a group of documents together for someone to approve before you, as an example, send them out via the portal. So they're quite a powerful thing that sits inside Virtual Cabinet. A lot of people ignore them because they say, oh, I've got tasks on my practice management solution, but they're purely for client-based, where tasks within Virtual Cabinet can be for anything. So they could even be for an internal process, maybe an invoice approval and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. And you can also click on any of these areas to jump into those bits of the product and begin working on that. What we've got underneath that are the quick links. These give you immediate access to common functionality in Virtual Cabinet. For new users, these are also really useful because they highlight things that they may not be aware of or common functionality they really should make use of in Virtual Cabinet. For example, you've got add documents. Click on this. I can then browse for documents anywhere on my computer and add them. They go into my in tray and then I'll be navigated into my in tray to see what those documents are. Really useful functionality. Below quick links, we've got my favorite part of the system, I have to say, are the insights. So this is really starting to supercharge the reporting and the insights that you get out of this product. This just shows you how you're working and what you're getting from the system. So let's just drill down to what we've got here. So the first one is talking about in-tray documents that are particularly old. So we would recommend that users regularly file documents from their in-tray, process them as quick and reasonable as possible. You don't want documents staying around in your in-tray for too long because then they're siloed and they don't get on the client file. They're not as easily accessible as they would be if they're properly filed where they should be. So this is a nice indication that I don't have anything older than 7 days, so well done me. We can see here that I've added 232 new documents in the last month. This gives an indication of how busy I am compared to the previous month. Likewise, you can see how many tasks you've completed in the last 30 days and documents published. And this really shows you how much usage you're getting from these features. And the last one of these insights is a list of what types of files that you've been adding in the last 30 days. So of those 232, 40% of them are emails. This can be quite interesting and gives you insights into how you could make your work more efficient. So for example, I'm filing on Word documents. So maybe I should be thinking about the document creation feature in Virtual Cabinet, where we can mail merge and create templates of Word documents, pull in information from your practice management CRM systems and make these processes much more efficient.
That's great, Sam. And actually, there's a question that's popped in, so I'll answer that now because it's just appropriate. Yeah, we do have automated ways to save documents into Virtual Cabinet. So someone asked, look, is it possible to do that? So it does depend on the CRM or practice manager system you're using. I would say just contact your account manager. There's a quick rule of thumb. If you do something 5 times a day, it's probably not worth automating. But if everyone does that across your organization 5 times a day, then it may well be worth automating. So just have a look and thinking, are people spending lots of times individually indexing lots of documents? Come and talk to us. Maybe there's an automated way. Sorry, that's just a question that popped in. I wanted to talk about recent documents and the save searches, which is just below this. Okay, another question popped in, which is fine. Yeah, we're basically on the home screen of version 5.2 on Virtual Cabinet. Okay, so you do need to upgrade to get to 5.2. Grading is free. Contact your local IT or contact our support and we can upgrade you. But we're on the home screen in Virtual Cabinet. On recent documents, it's a really useful feature. It grabs the last quite a few documents you have or so, and it just displays them. What you can do from here is go along and start editing the document. So if you pop out for lunch and you need to pop back, or if you're doing a few things at once, like multitasking, and you can, which document was I working on recently, you can go back to your home screen, there's a little image of the document, and you can actually carry on editing and working on the document from there. The other thing that I actually really like in Virtual Cabinet, and it's completely underused, is a save searches. So let's say you're working on a client Joe Blogs, you go in, you search on the client, maybe you search in a date range, maybe you search on a certain type of document to find the document you want. And then you go off and you find another document somewhere else from another client, and then you have to go back and do that search again. Why not save the search, and you can just right click and save any search where you are, and we can show that a little bit later if you wish, and it pops up here. So any of these documents, you can go along and just any of these searches, I should say, you can go along and click on them, and they can be very, very specific to a certain set of documents you're working on. And that's available for anyone actually in any version. It's been there for quite a while on Virtual Cabinet. Are we going to reports next? Yeah, okay. So there's a huge section on reports within Virtual Cabinet 2. Now, Sam's going to talk about some of the ones we've really improved, but in terms of management reports within Virtual Cabinet, I would encourage you, and especially managers of departments, to go along and use these. So there's something simple. Sam talked about a little insight into your in-trays. You can actually have an insight into in-trays across your whole organization. You'll see some people that have storing lots of documents as well, and you can talk to them and understand why they're storing documents in your in-tray and not actually indexing things away. Also, there's reports on things like the portal, so documents that you've published, documents that are awaiting action, etc. So do explore the reports within Virtual Cabinet, especially if you're managing a team, because it gives you good insight to what's going on. But Sam's going to talk about some specifically.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. Probably also worth saying, if the portal report is really good for all users, not just management users, because you can see what you've published and what you've outstanding. So that's really useful. But I'm going to talk in particular about the user audit report. So what this gives us is the ability to search on the audit of documents and actions performed in Virtual Cabinet. And it's pretty comprehensive. We've added a really cool feature in version 5.2, which I'm going to show off. You can do a search on specific users or all users between certain dates, when have they been doing things, and even specific actions if you're interested in particular types of things that people have been doing. So I can choose these and I can generate a report and see what in particular Ken's been up to today. So this gives me a list of all the actions that Ken's been doing. Now, what we've done in 5.2 to really improve this report is we've added these extra columns onto the report, which give you much more context on the documents that Ken has been working on. So you can see that at 10:35, Ken viewed this document, and you can see that it was for the Ace Concrete client, and it was a description of a memoir. So that gives you more information about what Ken has been up to directly within this report. You can also double click on any of these rows, and if you have access to the document, it will open up and you can see it in more detail. You can add more of these columns using the Add Columns button here and choose which ones you want to display in your report. But things like client and description are probably going to be the most common. A really good example of where you might use this report is, say, your colleague Alice was off sick this week and you want to see what she was working on last week, so you can pick up her work. You can go in here, search for just Alice, see what she was up to, what clients she was working on, what documents she was working on, allocate the resources accordingly. So that's this really good user audit report access through the reports tab. If you don't have access and you think you need to, speak to your system administrator and we'll get it set up, not a problem. The next thing I would like to talk about is versions in Virtual Cabinet. So I'm just going to jump over to this search screen where I have previously done a search for client documents. So here I'm seeing documents for Ace Concrete Limited. So I did this search just a little bit earlier. Virtual Cabinet offers a comprehensive version control system that we know you and your auditors love. What we've done in version 5.2 is made it easier to manage the versions of a document. So let's take this document here. I simply right click on it. I have a new option for version history. What this will give me is a list of all the versions of that document. I can see who created that document, when they created it, how big it was, what type of file it was, and any comments they made about the changes that they put into that document. So from here, I can go back in time and see a full history of everything that's happened to this document. I can right-click any of these versions and go and open that particular version to see what the document was like at that point in time. I can also revert back to a previous version. Now, this is really useful if you've made changes by accident or something's gone wrong, and I say, actually, you know what, version 13 of this document, I need to go back to that. So what you would do is you come in here to version history. You can see that the latest version of this document is version 17. I right-click version 13, and if I click on revert, this will create a new version of the document, in this case, version 18, which is essentially a copy of version 13. So we're restoring back to the state of the document at version 13. And you've probably already seen this, but you now have the option to destroy previous versions of the document. Now, you will only get this if you have certain access and security permissions. So probably only administrators or managers will have access to this. But you can go in here and say, I want to destroy and completely remove certain older versions of documents. Now, this is really useful if there's potentially sensitive data in them you need to get rid of, or maybe they're particularly large versions. Common example for a lot of accountants is they have spreadsheets which they're constantly editing. Maybe they're really large, important ones, they're editing every single day. That's creating hundreds of versions throughout the year, which can take up space in your server, which your company will potentially need to pay for. You can now go in here, go back and destroy all previous versions of the document, and there you go.
Sam, can I just interrupt you there? Someone's asked, can they actually see that? I'll do that on this document. By the way, this is my virtual cabinet system. These are all dummy documents, so we can do what we like. So yeah, so let's say in Sam's example, you were on a very high version. It might be in the hundreds of versions, but we'll just go from 13 and we can actually drop it down to version 5. I can right click and destroy all those versions. It gives me a warning to say, are you sure you want to destroy those versions? And I'll say yes. And then virtual cabinet will run in the background. It will destroy all those different versions of the document, leaves it in the audit trail to show where it's done, and those documents are those versions are then removed. Sorry, Sam, but sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great to see it in action. Another thing that we've done around managing versions in this version of Virtual Cabinet. Here's an example. A customer has sent you a completed contract form. They've sent it to you via email or a portal or whatever system that gets documents into your system. You've got the uncompleted version in Virtual Cabinet. You could add that document as a completely separate document in Virtual Cabinet, and then you've got two of them. But now with version 5.2, you can now right-click on the existing document in Virtual Cabinet and choose the Upload New Version button. This allows you to browse for documents anywhere in your system, and then bring in that document that was completed by your customer as a new version of this document. So in this example, that would be version 18 of this document. So this keeps everything together as one document with one complete audit and version control system. So as we've just seen from the version history, you could then go back to previous versions and see what it was beforehand or after it was completed by the customer, but it keeps it all together as one document in Virtual Cabinet, and this is really powerful.
Sorry, someone eagle-eyed and very fast fingers have asked a question. Yeah, and I can't remember what version this came in, but you can now within Virtual Cabinet convert a Word document to PDF by right-clicking on the document, and you'll see it's convert to PDF, and that Word document can go back to PDF. It's all contained in the version history and the audit trail as well, and actually you can revert back to the previous Word document if you convert it to PDF and you happen to see a mistake or something like that. All right, thanks, Sam. If I just jump back to the PowerPoint just for a second, I want to talk about Postworks. the reason we're showing Postworks, it's a really cool integration we have, and I'll describe what it is in a second. But the other thing is Postworks is a pure cloud SaaS solution. And so it's just an example of the power of Virtual Cabinet and what we can do internally. So if you are using other bits of software and you're saying, hey, I'm creating documents or I'm moving documents, it'd be great to link to that system for whatever reason, do come and talk to us, because we're always looking to be able to build new integrations. Now, and the last bit, I have to say this because Sam's right beside me, the user interface on this is so simple and easy. It's absolutely fantastic, but the work that's gone on behind it to make it like that is actually tremendously powerful, and they spent a long time getting it right. So let me talk about Postworks. So Postworks is a solution, and especially if you're an insolvency client, because I know a lot of insolvency clients still have to send things out physically. But what Postworks allows you to do is to take a document, a set of documents inside Virtual Cabinet. You can securely send it to them via Virtual Cabinet, and Postworks then physically print out the document, put it in an envelope with any attachments you want, and send it out in the post for you. The other thing that Postworks can do is they can actually take your mail, open it, scan it, and send it to you electronically. And obviously, if you're with Virtual Cabinet, they can take your post, they can obviously open it and scan it and send it to you, and we've set up a Postworks in tray, be a group in tray that would the documents would arrive into your in tray, and then you could route it through your normal post procedures within Virtual Cabinet. I'm just going to show what that looks like from Virtual Cabinet itself. So if I go, I've actually just created a pack previously to send some documents out via Postworks. So what I've got is I've got 3 letters that I want to send out to Aaron Gardens, Brown Catering, and to Adam. I'm just going to highlight all those documents, right click, and you'll see there is a send to Postworks option. So when you send to Postworks, what it does is it takes these documents and has them in a little list. As you can see, I've got my invoice, which I want to add as an attachment, and I have my invoice that I also want, so terms and conditions and invoice as an attachment. What this means is we'll send a letter to Adam Kerr with these 2 attachments. We'll send a letter to Aaron Gardens with these 2 attachments. We'll send a letter to Brown Catering with these 2 attachments. I did forget to show you the postbox that I set up in my own Postworks, but in Postworks, it allows you to set up postboxes which give you the option to send things first class or send things second class or recorded delivery or whatever. So you can choose one of those. You can choose one of those options as well, or you can actually choose to do it yourself, and you hit send, and those documents go securely from Virtual Cabinet out to Postworks. The other useful feature we have here is that we have a little preview of other documents that you've selected to be able to send out, so you can have a look at them as well. And of course, if you look at, let me just grab this document, if you look at the audit trail, the audit trail will show you that you've actually sent it to Postworks. I did a test earlier on just to make sure everything was working fine. Yep, and there's a questions come in, and it's actually probably the best question they've asked all day. We need to jump on your system and do some setup to set up the Postworks integration if anyone's interested in that. We're actually doing that free of charge at the moment, so there's no cost. Just contact your account manager and they can set up an engineer to jump in your system and do it. And as I said, the reason we wanted to show you this for 2 reasons. One is Postworks is a really cool service that's out there. If you want to make you an introduction into Postworks, please contact us and we'll happily do so. If you are using Postworks at the moment, obviously that's a really cool thing. But as I said at the start, it's also a really good way for us to demonstrate the abilities within Virtual Cabinet to link to a cloud service and any other type of integration.
One other quick thing, good question there. When you're sending documents from Virtual Cabinet to Postworks, it's taking a copy of the Virtual Cabinet document and uploading that to Postworks. So you get the original stays in Virtual Cabinet.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for spotting that one. I'm just going to pop back into our presentation mode. That's my Postworks that I forgot to show you, but never mind. We just put this page up here to recap to make sure we've covered everything. So we've covered the new home screen, version control, insight reports, and Sam's going to talk a little bit more about what we're working on in the future for that, and as I said, the Postworks integration as well. And just to reiterate, because there was a question earlier on, and it's always a question people ask, please check your latest version of Virtual Cabinet. You can go on the Orb, so Sam's going to do it for me. You can go on the Orb and About and check the latest version of Virtual Cabinet. It's free to upgrade. You can do it yourselves. Your external or internal IT can do it, or you can contact support and we can upgrade for you. Please do keep on the latest version, because also in terms of support and reliability, that's really important as well. So we have covered everything we want to talk about, and Sam's going to talk a little bit more about the future.
Great, yes. So what we get here is we got 5.2, and we are hard at work on version, you probably guessed it, 5.3. So we have numerous new things in that, but reporting is probably going to be the biggest new feature in 5.3. So where you've seen with user audit and the insights on your home screen, we're going to really boost that up. So you're going to be really useful for anything around user activity. So being able to see what your users are up to, how much they're getting from the system, what they're doing and when. And any useful, loads of useful stuff around documents, how many documents you've got in the system broken down by filing cabinet. So you can see an overview. So it needs to be really good for system administrators, managers of users, anyone that's interested in the reporting overall from Virtual Cabinet.
Okay, that's great. I'm just taking a quick glance at the questions. We're just winding up. We've covered everything we want to cover. I hope we've kind of given you a view of what Virtual Cabinet's all about. So we are essentially a document management solution. We are moving towards the cloud, and we will give you every choice available. We will not force anyone to do anything, but that's where we're going as an organization. But once you've got your document management system in place, we're then all about efficiency. And efficiency means making sure that obviously people can work quickly and easily, and so they can move on and not spend lots of time doing things like indexing documents or searching for documents. Part of the efficiency and part of what people have been asking us for years also is that insights, is how are you using Virtual Cabinet? How are the individuals using it? How do I know as a manager or a business owner that we're getting the most out of the system? And the reporting side of things that Sam and his team are working on hopefully give you, I can't think of another word other than a better insight into that as well. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a great Easter.